Hello my friends, I'm Indie Pride and welcome back to 3rd Age Reforged, a multiplayer focused submod with tons of new units, maps, and custom scenarios for the legendary Lord of the Rings mod, 3rd Age Total War. The Woodland Realm of Mirkwood is under assault by the dark forces of Gundabad and Mordor, but this time it is not the borders of the realm under pressure, but the Elvenking's halls themselves, with the 7th of the 9 Nazgul, the Quiet Wraith, at the helm of a gigantic invading army. Thranduil and his Kingsguard have their work cut out for them in this battle because there are thousands of Orc Halberdiers, Marauders, and Maulers on the field. We have Black Numenoreans on Wargs, there are Olog-Hai, Snow Trolls, Black Numenoreans, Witch Realm Scourge Raiders, Sauron's Will Elite Shot Cavalry, Witch Realm Hammer Guard, and the Witchers themselves, those corrupted Numenoreans who worship Melkor and have delved deep into the dark arts. All told, there are 8,000 followers of the Dark Lord on the field today, and though smaller in number, this is a much more elite force than the one that assaulted the borders of Mirkwood in my last 3rd Age battle. Across the chasm, we have the Silvan and Silvan Elves defending their homeland, and they have quite the formidable setup here to repulse attackers. Bunch of choke points and high cliffs that will give the famous Woodland Sentinels some brutal firing angles to cut down enemy troops with those armor-piercing bows. Happy Meal and myself are commanding the Elves, while Jokadal, Synn of the Dark Cloud, and Son of Imladris command Mordor and Gundabad. We're going to take a defense in depth approach here. Don't want to commit too much to the first choke points and risk taking some vicious troll catapult shots, but we do want to maximize our firepower on the cliffs. And right here we have the Elven Pathfinder Cavalry, those Elk Cavalry, but this map is not as good as the Borders of Mirkwood map that we played last time for utilizing cavalry to its fullest potential, so it might be tricky to use them here. Probably gonna keep them in reserve until the enemy forces start breaking through. But hold up a second. I did say this was a siege, and I have not shown the whole map yet. We've got a hidden gem here in the back, across the bridge, and into the halls of the Elvenking himself. Thranduil's realm, complete with waterfalls, some brutal choke points, and firing angles for the elf defenders, Sindar Blade Masters, and the Elven Royal Council and Kingsguard themselves out in the back here in the capture point. And if you've ever wondered to yourself, why is 3rd Age such an amazing mod, I think this is a perfect demonstration of why people play it. Stuff like this, the fact that it's even possible to do something like this in Medieval 2. This map is one of the most gorgeous things I have ever seen on Medieval 2, and that is not an exaggeration. So this is a perfect example of why people play 3rd Age and why you should love 3rd Age Total War content. So we're going to make a quick break here, just make a quick cut while the enemy forces move into position, and then we'll get right into the action. Alright, so the battle has begun in earnest, and our job, Happy Meals and my job, is to create a killing zone on the forest floor below. Basically get all of our archers, or all the ones that we can fit up on top of the cliffs, to get into a position to just fire down onto the forest floor and start ripping up all these Uruk halberds and enemy troops that start moving up. We also have a catapult who will be able to fire in from the flank, and another one over on the other side of the battlefield that you'll see in a second that will have some really brutal firing angles to start firing down from above. Our Elven Spears are some of the most elite troops in 3rd Age Reforged. As you can imagine, the thing about the Elves is they're very expensive, but have incredibly elite troops who attack very quickly and can slaughter hundreds, if not many hundreds of Uruks or Orcs who are running into the shield walls. But of course, we are vastly outnumbered here. We have about 4,000 troops on the field. The enemies have 8,000, and they have a lot of elite troops. This isn't one of those battles where we're outnumbered 3-1, but they have a lot of crappy troops. They've got the most elite stuff. Like I said, they have the Black Numenoreans, they've got Olog-Hai, they've got Wargs, they've got a bunch of troops that are going to be giving us a lot of problems in melee combat. So what they're going to do first is start sending their archers and stuff across the way, across the chasm, to start skirmishing with us. That won't go very well for them because the elves have very high armor. But as they move up, they will begin with their crappy troops first. Just send it into the fray. Nice shot there from the catapult. Going to hit the corner of that unit, do some decent damage to the maulers that are already in melee. And we got to be a little bit careful here because friendly fire for the elves is a serious issue. When you're this outnumbered, you really can't afford to have a bad catapult shot. And we're playing with fire right here, literally. Great shot. I think there might have been a couple elves that died there, but probably a good trade nonetheless, but always really scary when you see those flaming balls of death go flying across the battlefield and get that close to your troops. But like I was saying, the Elven troops are incredible. They're going to be able to hold very well, but there are a couple of special units on the other side, like the Witchers, that we're going to have to be very cautious of. You can't really kill them from range with the armor-piercing bows because they have multiple HP, so you got to kill them with cav or tie them up in melee combat. So we'll be trying to shut those down early, but for right now, it'll be wave tactics from Mordor and Gundabad, the crappy troops getting sent up first, just to soak up the fire from our elite archers, and then hopefully, well, from their perspective, hopefully, they'll be able to send in their elite troops later on after our infantry have gotten worn down and after our archers have run out of ammunition. So it is very careful, or very important in these kind of situations to kind of hold out on your ammo. Don't want to be wasting all of it, but we do need to get those archers off the field because they will definitely put the hurt on us over time. They're not going to do a lot of damage, but if you let them shoot and expend all their ammunition, then certainly that's not going to be a good thing for us. So I'm not worried about that choke point right there. We're going to be able to hold that very easily, but it is just going to be wave after wave of enemy troops. We've got Ruardar Axemen moving up now, the Witch Realm Scourge Raiders, and some of those other more elite troops, the Sauron's Will, getting ready to get committed. Also, they've only got 3 choke points to engage us in. There's a center one that's very, very choke pointy. This left-hand side is going to be extremely difficult for them to assail, especially because of the catapult that's up on top. But over on the right-hand side that we're shifting over to now, there's a lot more space here for them to engage. And they've had some support from the Troll Catapult, which has landed a couple brutal shots. Look at that, into the Elven Kingsguard, taking a bunch of losses there. And every single elf we lose is going to be a serious problem because it's an elf that could kill pretty easily 10 or 15 of the enemy troops. So when they land a brutal shot like that, definitely not a good thing. They're trying their best to skirmish, but man, it is already a killing zone down here on the forest floor. And I was really hoping, when I first saw this map, I was hoping that these cliffs would actually be scalable by siege ladders or siege towers, something like that. That would make this even more epic. And again, I'm not kidding you. I really think this is one of the most beautiful maps I've ever seen on 3rd Age or Medieval 2 or any of its mods. It is incredibly well done, but it would have been super epic for those siege towers to be able to get rolled up and attack on the walls as well. Unfortunately, not going to happen, but it is going to give us, like I said, some brutal firing angles from above, and they have started racking up the kills here. Look at how many dead orcs there are already, and the catapult has started opening fire as well from the other side. And using our ammunition wisely with those will also be important, but we're not sure how long these lines are going to hold. When there are wargs trying to bust through the line, and there are Olog-Hai and snow trolls, even our elves are going to have some serious trouble holding down the line there. So maybe it's best to just fire as much with our catapults as we can, expend all that ammunition, because we might not get all the time we want or desire with those guys. So most of the elite troops still in the back here. We've got the Black Numenoreans on Wargs, one of my favorite looking units in 3rd Age. They just look badass. Like, there's no other way to say it. Mountain Trolls moving up, getting ready to engage. But of course, the heavy elite troops, the Witch Realm Scourge Raiders, Sauron's Will, the Witch Realm Hammer Guard, and the Nazgul himself, the Quiet Wraith, the 7th of the 9, all in the back. I forgot to mention that if the Quiet Wraith goes down or if Thranduil dies, then the game just ends. So both teams will have to be very cautious with their general, but they have no reason to commit the Black Numenoreans and the Nazgul yet. And of course, Thranduil is all the way in the back at the capture point, so he's going to be very safe. No worries about him right now. Do have to be worried about the Ruardar Axemen though. They have javelins, which are fantastic for piercing the heavy armor and shield block chance of our elven spearmen. So we need to silence those very quickly, and you'll notice that me and Happy Meal start focus firing on those javelin units so they can't do too much damage. Over here, Black Mountain Orcs trying to assail this position, which is going to be incredibly difficult for them. And we've got a catapult getting ready to fire, and this is going to get vicious. Look at that shot, just carrying through the entire formation, flaming a bunch of those Black Mountain Orcs, which are a pretty elite shock infantry unit as well. So being able to take them off the field is real nice. And this is just a dream come true for any catapult unit you can imagine. Like, this is just perfect. Oh my. Oh, it's so beautiful. I love it. I swear, Third Age is so often the battles come down to use of catapults, which is not the most Lord of the Rings-y kind of thing, because you don't see flaming catapults in the lore or in the movies very often. Certainly not in the books. But it is so satisfying to watch huge chunks of enemy troops just get burned alive, burned to a crisp by good catapult shots. And honestly, we are going to need them this battle. We're going to need those catapults to lay out that kind of damage over time, or we're just not going to be able to win. The balance bar is so massively in their favor that shots like that are going to be very, very important. Now on this side, we have committed our Elven Pathfinders, the Elk Cavalry. Very elite, incredible charge bonus, extremely good in melee combat, and actually multiple HP as well. But we're going to have to use our cavalry very well here, because they've got wargs and snow trolls starting to break through the line. Mountain trolls also up in there. Just look at how fast they managed to break through over on this side. They're just overwhelming us, and so repeated hammer and anvils and cycle charging from our shot cavalry is going to have to be what carries us over here, or at least stems the tide for a while we set up the defense over by the bridge and in the back in the actual halls of Thranduil himself. Now you will notice we're fighting some Silver Surfer wargs over on this side. I guess their texture just wasn't complete at the moment, so that's going to be a little bit goofy, but don't worry about it. That's only for like the 2 warg units that they have. The Black Numenorean wargs are fine, but they have 3 cavalry units and the trolls busting through the line, and that is not going to be an easy fight for our Elven Pathfinders. As elite as they are, they will be able to win, but they're going to take some serious losses here. We don't want that to happen. Obviously, when your elite shot cavalry is getting killed early on in the battle, it's not good, but we're not going to be able to use it in the underground portion, Thranduil's Halls portion of this map. So we kind of have to just get the most use of them out as we can in this early stage of the battle, and killing the wargs will be really important. So we're going to try to do that. You can see me and Happy Meal are each controlling one of these Elven Pathfinders, getting some good rear charges into the Warg Riders, but we're definitely starting to take some serious losses, and they simply won't make as big an impact on this battle as they did in the last one, where they were just able to charge enemy infantry formations with impunity over and over again. Not going to happen when you're fighting elite enemy cavalry and trolls like we are in this battle, but we'll still do our best. And the Elven Kingsguard and the regular heavy spearmen and archers are just getting overwhelmed by Sauron's Will Shock infantry and all these other crazy, scary monsters from Mordor and Gundabad. And it's just an inexorable tide. They just keep coming. There are so many troops on the field, and they will be able to break through over on that side. So pretty soon, we're going to sound the retreat and start backing up. And we're going to have to leave a lot of our defenders, especially the infantry, in those choke points to die. They're just going to have to hold out for as long as possible. It's going to be a rough time for them, but there's really no other option at this point. We're finally getting a couple more charges in with the Elven Cavalry, and then we're going to pull out and decide to get everything just away from this engagement as soon as possible. This is the benefit of having incredibly elite shot cavalry with multiple HP, though. You can afford to pull away from enemy cav and cycle charge it and hit them again, and we're doing a ton of damage over here. But it's just not going to be enough. The left side of our defense has crumbled. All those elite troops and cavalry and trolls pouring through the breaches, and that means that the entire army is soon going to kick it into high gear and start making their way over to this side of the battlefield, where they'll then be able to assail the bridge and then finally try to break through to the actual hull itself. Now, we're obviously going to make our stand outside on the bridge at that choke point and try to hold that down. Again, defense in depth. We want to present multiple points on the battlefield where we can hold them down, get them into a choke point, and slaughter them with catapults and with our archers. But it's just going to be a very difficult fight, and every time you do these kind of defense in depth things, kind of tactics, it makes it so that you're not facing the entire enemy army with all of your troops, which of course means that they can commit everything in a single fight. But it also means that we have the benefit of having those catapults and those archers that can then fire into these massive Mordor and Gundabad blobs. We're going to be much less blobby because we don't have all of our troops in the exact same part on the battlefield. So we'll see if that works out. Hopefully it does. Sindar Blade Masters making their last stand here. Some awesome kill animations on them. Stabbing him in the armpit, slicing off his head, and they're going to work over here. The Elven Catapult crew also got tied down in melee. They are definitely going to die. And the Black Numenorean Wargs are trying to give chase to our Elven Pathfinders. And we keep having to cycle charge and send them back into melee because we keep getting tied down by those Wargs who are chasing after us. But I think we are going to be able to get away. And here in the Elven Ruins, they are going to continue pushing through and begin their assault on that side. In the center, things are not going particularly well for us either. That Elven Shield Wall is held for a very long time, almost 15 minutes already, but they are going to die, and we're just pulling everything back now. And look at this, the Witchers have moved up, and they are going to do some serious damage to our defense. Look at this Elven Shield Wall just melt in the face of withering fire. They're gonna disappear. Like, this is just a powerful, extremely elite unit using black magic that basically just flames everything in its path. And that's really painful because that's a great unit. That Elven Spearwall unit could have held down, probably killed another 75, 80 orcs easily, and now it's just gone with no benefit whatsoever. So we have to be really careful of those Witchers. Like I said, the best way to get rid of them is charge them with cavalry, and doing so on this map and all the choke points and stuff, it's going to be really, really difficult. You can see in the back here, in Thranduil's halls, we do have a very nice defense setup. We have lots of different firing angles for our archers, and we'll see what kind of damage they can do once or if they manage to break through. The idea is that we don't let them break through at all, but we'll see. Black Numenorean Wargs charging into the back of our Elven Pathfinders. This was both of our mistakes. We kind of lost micro on our cav thinking we were okay, and the Black Numenorean Wargs are going to charge in and actually do quite a bit of damage here. There were only 6 of them, I believe, and finally when the elves turn around, they're going to slaughter them, but I think we lost about 8 or 10 Elven cavalry, and for shock cav that's that elite, not a good thing. So definitely a micro mistake from me, and Happy Meal should have done better in that instance. But it's going to kick us into high gear. They are pissed off. They just lost their brothers for no reason, and that means they're going to start charging some infantry and try to do as much damage as they can, because again, they're not going to be able to get used inside the actual citadel. There won't be enough space for them to get good charges off. So might as well use them on the open field out here and see what kind of damage they can do. And they will still be able to make a big impact on the battle, so we'll keep an eye on them. Now, with only 8 or so left in this unit, I just managed to get a charge in to those Rudar Axemen. A decent amount of damage off the charge there. Over on this side, Happy Meal still microing his, still doing decent damage. Catapults opening fire, good shot into the middle of those Axemen. I don't know if those are Dunlendings or a different part of the world. If someone wants to give me the lore on Rudar Axemen, would love to hear about it, but I'm not actually sure where they're from. But they do look a lot like Dunlending. Wow, I cannot say that. Dunlendings to me. That is hard to say. I don't know why that's so hard for me to say. Anyway, they have broken through the center, and that means those Axemen are going to be able to start moving in and engaging the next part of our defense. Elk Cavalry still cycle charging. Only a handful of them, but it doesn't matter. They're so elite. They've got such a powerful charge. Each time I go in, they're going to be able to slaughter a bunch of orcs, and just got to keep them moving. Don't let them get tied down in melee. They'll be able to rack up a bunch more kills. Need our catapults to start landing some really good shots at this point in the battle, though. You can see over on the left-hand side, big army of Mordor and Gundabad coming in on that side, because that's where they push through the easiest. That's where they could fit the majority of their army. But there will be those Axemen coming through the center, and I believe a Troll Catapult moving up on the other side, where those Witchers kind of cut a swath of destruction and opened up a hole for the Mordor forces on that side as well. Got some Black Mountain Orcs getting charged in the face by those gorgeous Elk Cavalry. And nice catapult shot there into the Axemen. But we need to kill so many more. There are so many troops on the field right now, and we really haven't put anywhere near a big enough dent into their army. I think we've killed about 40% of their army thus far, and we've lost maybe only a little bit less than that. So the battle is definitely not in our favor right now. Decent shot from the catapult right there, and we're going to need something to turn it. And this defense right here, where they might get blobbed up on our shield walls, where we have the 2 catapults to fire in, that could be the exact kind of defense we need to turn this battle around and start getting a distinct advantage. Get a look at these beautiful interlocking shields. The elf phalanx is just a iconic picture. If you've seen it in Lord of the Rings movies, it's just amazing seeing them go to work in combat, and I think Third Age has replicated that so beautifully. Watching an elven shield wall phalanx do work is so much fun. Oh, beautiful shot from the catapult. Gonna immolate a group of those Uruk halberdiers, and they are getting ready for the next stage of their assault. They've even gotten their troll catapult moving up now. Just caught a nice little shot through the middle of our elven phalanx, and this is where I'm going to spring my attack. I only have 7 or 8 elven pathfinders going straight at this troll catapult, and they know what this means. They know this is their death. I actually almost friendly fired the crap out of my own guys there, but look at that charge. I'm gonna kill 3 trolls off the charge, and I will leave them in combat here against Black Numenoreans, against Uruks, against mountain trolls. But that was exactly what I needed. I need them to just silence the troll catapult and allow our catapults more time to fire in, maybe get them blobbed up around my elven cavalry and allow us to get a nice catapult shot in. We might do some friendly fire but kill more enemies. I knew that my cavalry was done at this point, but taking down 3 trolls and a bunch of infantry before they go down, very heroic last stand there, and some elven brothers trying to get into melee to protect them, but they will go down. And now, looks like Happy Meal's stags are going into combat as well. Big charge into a big block of enemy infantry, and that next assault is now coming in. Everything is starting to get committed. We have 2 catapults over here. Actually, really good job of the snow troll to tie down this catapult crew and prevent them from firing for a little bit. But they cannot allow us to continue firing with those catapults. They've actually started counter-sniping our catapults. Very good move, and one of them is already down. One of the catapults, the actual siege weapon itself, was blown up by an enemy troll catapult. So that's not good, because we really need that killing power to start doing some damage to the blobs as the enemy Mordor forces begin engaging. Oh no. Yeah, this is scary for us though too. Look at that shot. That was like 12, 15 elves dead in a single shot. That is not good. The problem with this spot that we've set up, even though it's really good for us, it will force the enemy onto our shield walls and allow us to fire in with our catapults for a long time, allow our archers to fire. They also have a lot of catapults, and we're not blobbed up, but there's a limited amount of space to maneuver over here. We can't go full spaghetti line, so their catapults are still going to reap a terrible toll among our shields and phalanxes as well. So definitely not the best spot ever, but I don't think there's a better spot on this map for us to engage. And I had to tell Happy Meal at this point to start spreading out his stuff in the back. Some of his formations are a little bit too deep. If a troll catapult lands a shot in those, they're just gonna completely wipe the entire unit. So gotta spread out, gotta make sure that those fireballs don't do as much damage as they possibly can, but they are going to do damage nonetheless. Gonna be committing some of our swordsmen now, and the Olog-Hai have started pushing through, and this was disaster. Absolute disaster. The Witchers are going to start crumbling our left flank. Did you guys just see how much damage they did? That was like 150 or 200 kills in about 3 seconds. Look at that. 2 full units of Elven Spears just gone, immolated, burned into ash and cinder. Not good. Maybe a little bit OP. Maybe just a teeny bit OP. But that was epic. I mean, it was not a good thing. It's very, very bad for our defense because we were already on the back foot, and now this defense is going to be even more difficult. But man, that literally melted our entire left flank. 2 Elven Spear Phalanx units just completely gone after those shots. And that means that they're going to start being able to collapse in and break down our shield wall, get into the squishy center of our box, and maybe even push through to Thranduil's halls themselves. Not a good thing. Even more Elven Spears dying to those Witchers. They're just shredding us over on this side, and now that's allowing the Halberdiers and the Orcs start pushing through. The Olog-Hai causing havoc in the back lines, tying down our catapults. Not good. Definitely starting to look very dire. I thought we might be able to hold them here, and as soon as that happened, as soon as our left flank collapsed, I was like, oh no, we're going to have to pull back very soon. So we will make a last stand here. We do still have a couple of functioning catapults. As soon as we can finish off those Olog-Hai, we will be able to continue firing. And we did manage to kill one of the enemy generals. So things are not completely lost at this point, but definitely moving in Mordor's and Gundabad's favor. But look at the blob here. Massive blob of enemy troops. If we can get a catapult shot or 2 or 3 into it, could definitely start turning things back in our favor. And that was a big shot. That got it, and it had to have killed at least 30 or 40 enemy troops. Really good shot. And if we can just keep sending in our archers, who are also fantastic in melee, make sure the enemy trolls and enemy units don't get at that catapult, might be able to get a couple more shots. And you can see it dropping that arm down. We'll be able to get another one in here to the big blob of enemies. See what kind of damage they can unleash here. About to fire. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Just glorious. Beautiful shot. And I'd like to get at least one more. But we have Witchers and Black Numenoreans coming in from the flank. Not sure I'll be able to get another one. And this phalanx will be making their last stand. Scourge Raiders from the front. Black Numenoreans with great swords from behind. Not a good way to go. And the very elite enemy Mordor and Morannon and Gundabad troops are now getting committed into melee. The Black Numenoreans with two-handed swords, they're going to be able to go toe-to-toe with any Elven unit pretty much. They are scary in melee, and they're doing a really good job here in and amongst the Elven ruins. So I was talking to Happy Meal at this point. I was saying, man, things are not going well. You can see the balance bar shifting ever further in their favor. We now have but one hope as the Witchers continue to be just complete dickheads, ripping us apart. There's no mercy from them. I just want them to give us a little bit of mercy here. And they're still shredding our lines. But at this point, I was talking to Happy Meal saying, we just got to pull back. The only hope we have now is to hold them at the gate and start setting up those brutal firing angles from across the chasm inside Thranduil's halls. Maybe then, with some good catapult shots at the gate, where they get extremely blobbed up, and with the great firing angles we'll have with our archers, just maybe we'll be able to turn it in our favor. Things are not going well right now. It's looking so dire. Pretty much all the elves out here will die to the last, and they'll fight to the last, and they'll bring down many of the enemies with them. But there's only so much even the elite elven infantry can do at this point. Sauron's will just cutting them to pieces, and pretty soon here we're just gonna have to concede the bridge, concede the gate, and allow them to start entering the final part of the settlement. And the retreat has begun. The Elvenking has sounded the horn, and we're gonna try to get the hell out of there and save every elf we can, pulling them back to the relative safety of the halls and the capture point itself. It's not gonna be safe for long. Forces of the Dark Lord, this battle have been relentless and utterly without mercy, and they're showing no signs of slowing down. You might be saying to yourself at this point, there is no hope for the elves. There's no way they can win this, but remember, they have some of the most elite and versatile units in the entire game, and this kind of engagement inside the halls of the king favor their style of fighting tremendously. They'll have a big leg up, only 3 avenues of attack for the enemy, which gives each of these archers a ton of time to fire, and then I can wade into melee with them and rip stuff up there as well. And we have one final catapult to immolate those swarms of Melkor as they pour in to our beloved home. And I'm Indie Pride. I'm a beast. So we can totally win this game. I don't know, we might not be able to, but there's definitely a chance. There is always hope if Indie Pride... I can't even take myself seriously right now. There's always hope when Indie Pride's on your team. Alright, so the elves are starting to shoot in now to this big blob of Rudar axemen as they come through. And our job is to hold it down here. My spearmen are going to tie down any units that come over to this side. Back up my archers and give them more time to fire. And we're going to try to actually allow them to get through the gate somewhat, so that they can start forming into those big swarms that are fantastic targets for our archers and for our catapult. Now, it's going to be so important this game. So important in this battle for my catapult. This final catapult, the only siege weapon we have left to actually hit its shots. If it doesn't do that, we are going to lose. There's no other way to put it. There are going to be some juicy targets for it to hit. Hopefully, its accuracy will be on point. We'll definitely make sure to focus on that as it continues firing. Now, the Witch Realm Hammer Guard and Sauron's Will are pushing through. They'll be facing off against the Sindar Blade Masters, which are hands down one of the best elite melee troops in the entire mod. Fantastic attack animations, and they will be able to hold down that choke point for a while as the Olog-Hai and other stuff pushing. Sorry, just had a bit of a camera work problem there. It gets a little bit wonky when you get near the edges, but I just figured it out, so no big deal. But yeah, you can see that big swarm coming into the gate now. Perfect target for the catapult. Just need you to actually hit them. Let's see. It's going to miss barely. That could have been great. Could have probably killed like 50 dudes in a single shot. And now we're going to commit our Elven archers and swordsmen into melee, charging in now. And they are going to get immolated. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh no. I did not know what to say at that point. I was just distraught. I was so sad. So they ran into melee. They actually did tie them up, and they basically got a shotgun blast that obliterated 2/3 of the entire unit. We can't afford to be having stuff like that happen this late in the game when we're this far down. That was disastrous. That was very, very bad. We're still able to fire in. We still have the catapult. We still have all of our archers in the back firing in with their armor-piercing bows. But man, I wanted to cry when that happened. There's just been no mercy from those Witchers in this game. And my catapult, like, please just hit that huge blob of enemy troops. It is so juicy right now. You just have to hit in the middle of that formation and you would kill hundreds of enemy troops. I just need my catapult to start doing something. It's already missed. Like, it's gotten like a couple of kills, like 2 or 3 kills with each shot. But you really need to be doing better than that when there are that many troops in a big circle. Another crappy shot into the side of the chasm, and I was getting so fed up with my catapult. Next one goes over their heads. It's hitting everywhere but what it needs to be hitting. Please. So Sindar Blade Masters are still holding down the choke point. My spearmen are still doing a good job, and now his troll catapult is going to start firing at mine. Maybe trying to take out my siege equipment at this point in the battle. That would be the nail in the coffin. If my siege weapon goes down, the game's completely over. You might say we still have no chance. You might be right, but there are miracles. There have been crazier things that have happened in Total War games. It's a possibility. We just need our catapult to start doing something, and it's not right now. It's really not. Orc bodyguards and all these elite Mordor and Gundabad troops pushing through. We're trying our best to just tie them down, and I had to relocate my catapult. I was like, you're not doing anything over there. Maybe it was where they were positioned on the edge that just made it so they weren't actually landing the shots they needed to. So I'm going to move them over to this side and get a better firing angle. But that will be a few precious seconds where they are not firing into the enemy formations, which is bad. We have the Elven Kingsguard and the Elder Council firing into the Witchers, who are now flanking around. We really wanted to kill them, but you really can't kill Witchers with ranged units, which is unfortunate. They need to be killed by charges, and they don't die in melee very easily either. They're kind of crazy. They're a crazy unit. I think that they should probably be a bit squishier than they are right now, but they've also been rebalanced since this battle, so we'll see what the change is. I think they're getting less ammunition in the next version of the patch, but we shall see. It's not... I'm fine with them doing a crap ton of damage, but they need to be able to get killed by something other than just melee cavalry, which in this version was not possible. You can see pouring in fire at these Witchers. They're super bloodied, but they have, I don't know how much HP they have, like 4 or 5 or something. I'm not sure exactly, but they just don't take losses to archer fire, which is very unfortunate, and they're going to be flanking around. So when I say they can only be killed by melee cavalry, that's not true. They can get tied down in melee, and they will die to high attack elf units, which happens to be every single unit we have on the field right now. But that's if you let them get caught in melee, which not necessarily going to happen. Good shot from the catapult there. Going to do a bunch of damage to the Scourge Raiders. Need more shots like that for sure. And we'll see. I did tell them at one point in this battle, I can't remember exactly when, I'm like, yo, you guys need to chill with those Witchers. They're pretty ridiculous. You guys have a big advantage right now. Chill with them. And I think they listened. So I don't know if they'll get any more shots off until the very end. But things are looking so dire at this point. Another fantastic shot. That was like 30 dead. Really good stuff. And we will make our brave last stand. But there's really only one thread we can hang our hat on at this point. One inkling of hope for the elves in this battle. And that is to kill the Quiet Wraith. Remember, if the enemy Nazgul dies, we win the game. It doesn't matter if we have one dude left and he's fighting 1,000 by himself. If the enemy Nazgul goes down, we win the game. It's actually right after this point. The Witches are going to fire in and obliterate this archer unit. And it was at that point I just told them, guys, chill with the effing Witchers, man. Because they're doing way too much. There is like nothing we can do to actually kill them at this point. Because they're not going to let them get tied down in melee with our archers. Like, our swordsmen and our archers can kill them in melee, but if we chase after them, they're just going to run away. So I just said, guys, until I give you the okay again, don't use them anymore. That's getting a little bit cheesy, and they're like, okay, that's fine. And so I think they did listen, but I was like, man, those things have already done so much damage to us. And the final assault is coming in now. We're just getting completely overwhelmed. Overrun. Sauron's will and the Witch Realm units coming in from every conceivable angle, attacking the final plaza. But remember, we do have that inkling of hope left. If the Nazgul goes down, if he enters that gate, or actually even if he gets before the gate, because technically that gate doesn't exist, you can just walk through it, so our catapult can still fire outside the settlement and hit something outside. If he gets too close, this game could go our way. There's no way we're going to be able to kill the remnants of their armies. There are too many troops left on the field. We are too outnumbered. We have to keep Thranduil alive, and we have to find some way to take down the Nazgul. Now, the Elvenking Guard are going to engage with Sauron's will. That should be a really interesting engagement. Both very elite infantry. And I love the models on the Elvenking Guard. They look so cool. I believe their model is straight from The Hobbit when they're in Mirkwood, when the Hobbits finally go there in the movies. But yeah, they look super badass, and they're gonna do a great job of tying down all the elite troops that are coming over from the right side, and that will give Thranduil and his Elven Elder Council more time to fire in from the flank and rack up kills with those armor-piercing shots. Catapult still firing in, hoping against hope, believing, desiring that my catapult will actually do something useful. It's killed like 80 dudes at this point, which, considering the gigantic blobs they had at the gate, very disappointing. I feel like someone else was using that catapult, it would probably have been up to like 300 or 400 kills already, and it just has not done enough work for me. Elder Council holding it down. You can see the captain there. That is actually Happy Meal's general, wading into melee, just surrounded by orc bodyguards and Witch Realm Scourge Raiders, and he is taking that damage like an absolute boss. Great shot there, finally. That one actually got like 30 or 40 kills. That was very nice. You can see there's just a big block of enemy dead troops on the field. The Sindar Blademasters did work there, and each of our elf troops, each of our elf units that weren't utterly dismantled by the Witchers, have done so much damage to the enemy. But it has been this inexorable tide. It's just never ending. They keep sending troops in. They keep having more and more stuff in reserve, and it's just been so hard to kill. So many dead now. I believe we've killed 90% of the enemy force at this point, and they still have that many troops on the field. They still have a couple thousand, I think. Well, I guess not a couple thousand, but they have more than 1,000 troops left, and they're all elite. So yeah, like I said, no way we're going to be able to kill all the remnants of their forces. Gotta snipe the enemy general, and they're keeping him in the back right now. But We could come a little bit too close. Hint, hint, wink, wink. We'll see. Is there a way we could actually pull this battle out? Despite the massive, crazy, ridiculous hole we are in right now that there's almost no way to dig out of. I don't know. Thranduil is getting committed into melee here. We are holding it down, and the catapult is shooting at something in the back there. Ooh, it's gonna miss again. Figures. Andy Pride's catapult is the worst thing ever. So mad. I don't think I've ever been this disappointed in a unit in any Total War game ever. It's like, I don't think I've ever seen juicier targets in a Total War game. How do you miss like 1,500 dudes in a huge blob over and over again? So disappointing. And I'll be honest here, I was trying to target the enemy Nazgul with my catapult, and with the accuracy he's had this game, just not going to be able to do it. It was unfortunate. I tried to kill him, but he kept missing, and so I changed my targets here, and I said at this point, there's no way we're going to win. And I said, hey, use your Witchers, flame on all of our troops. It's alright, no big deal. We're going to lose the game. It was unfortunate, but my catapult was so poor in this last part of the level, and those Witchers did so much damage to us that pulling it out was going to take a miracle, and we just weren't able to get it done. Now we are going to get to watch the Witchers just use their napalm to burn everything to cinders here, which I must say is very entertaining to watch. It really is. They're OP, which is fine. I think that in this scenario it needs to be rebalanced a little bit so that the Witchers either have much less ammunition, or that they can actually die to enemy skirmish fire, because it becomes a much more interesting thing if we could have focused them down with range fire and actually dealt with them in that way. But man, they made a huge impact on the battle. It's fine. These scenarios are never going to be perfectly balanced on the first run. It's really hard to balance something like this and make for an epic battle, and this was a very epic battle. And I can say that as a defender, even though they managed to overwhelm us and take the plaza, they're going to be able to finish off Thranduil very soon. It was an incredibly epic battle, incredibly gorgeous map, and I thoroughly enjoyed playing this one, and I hope you guys thoroughly enjoyed watching it. Well, these custom scenarios on 3rd Age are just something so special, so much fun to play, and I can't wait till the entire community can get their hands on it and start playing together. So yeah, it'll be our last stand here. Just a crazy battle, man. We did a great job. Like, Happy Meal and I think we did very well killing, I think we ended up killing about 93, 94% of the enemy army. And it was the Witchers and some good, honestly, their Warg usage in the earlier stages of the game was very effective. They managed to shut down our Elk Riders pretty hard, which could have been a game changer early on in the battle. They managed to get some really nice catapult shots, and overall, I think our opponents played very well. I ended up getting around 3,000 kills, and Happy Meal got 4,000 because of a lot of his troops were in the initial choke points and up top on the cliffs, raining down, creating that killing zone on the forest floor at the beginning of the match. I hope you guys really enjoyed watching this battle as much as I enjoyed playing it, and I will definitely be bringing you some more 3rd Age content very soon. Give huge props to Synn of the Dark Cloud and Kuroguro-chan for their awesome work on this mod, and I'll see you all next time.